All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started with problem 7 through 10, which are the word problems on assignment 22. So if you read along with me, it says for problem 7, Olivia purchases gifts for her mom and grandma for Mother's Day. The first is a pair of sunglasses for $16.35, and the second is a bracelet. Her total is $39.75. How much did she spend on the bracelet? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we know from the problem that the cost of the sunglasses is $16.35. The variable can be any letter that you want, but we usually choose a letter that has some relationship to the problem. So in this case, I chose letter B to represent bracelet. And we know that when we add the cost of the sunglasses plus the cost of the bracelet, that she's going to spend a total of $39.75. So we take the $16.35, which is the cost of the sunglasses, plus the cost of the bracelet. We don't know what that is. And that's going to give us a total of $39.75. All right, with word problems, we're going to go ahead and do the exact same process that we did with the first 6 problems of our assignment. So the first thing we're going to do is to loop those constants. So again, constants, remember, are just numbers, and in this case, they are dollar values. And I have 2 of those. I also have a variable B. I also know there's an imaginary number 1 in the front of that. So that would be what we box when we box the variable. All right, there you go. So you can see it a little bit more. All right, we typically don't put that 1 in there, but I am for the process that we're going through just to get used to understanding we're going to loop and box every single problem. All right, so there's no division that I need to do here. So I do need to get that B all by its lonesome, all by itself. The way that I do that is to undo what is happening to the variable. So in this case, what is happening to the variable is there is 1635 added to B. So I'm actually going to subtract that from both sides. So 1635. I subtract that from the left. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. 1635, take away 1635 gives me 0. So I'm just left with my variable on this side, which is letter B. And on this side, we have 39.75. Take away 1635. So if we go ahead and do that math, first thing we're going to do is line up that decimal. 75 take away 35 is 40. 9 take away 6, 3. So $23.40 would be the cost of the bracelet. Again, to check my work, I would substitute $23.40 in here. 1635 plus 23.40 should give me $39.75. All right, please make sure that you have all of those steps written down on your paper for full credit. And we'll go ahead and get set up for problem number 8. All right, our next problem says Elena and 2 of her friends evenly split the cost of a meal. They determined that each person owes $14.68. How much was the entire cost of the meal? All right, so Elena plus 2 friends means a total of 3 people. 3 people. M I use to represent meal. Could be anything that you want, but it makes sense that we're talking about a meal, so I used the letter M for the variable. So the total cost of the meal divided by 3 people. Remember, Elena plus 2 friends, that's 3 total people. and each person is supposed to pay $14.68. So we need to find out what was the total amount of the meal. Right? So we're going to do this by following exactly the same steps again. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to loop those constants. So a constant is right there. All right. This one's a little bit tricky because remember that a constant is something that is either standing alone by itself or added or subtracted to the variable. This time, this 3 is not a constant. It actually is a coefficient. So m divided by 3 is actually the same thing as 1/3 times m. Okay, both of those mean exactly the same thing. All right. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to box the 3. If we also did it this way, we would box the whole 1/3. All right. 1/3 m equals $14.68. All right, multiplying by 1/3 is the same thing as dividing by 3. So both of those equations are the same value. All right, a lot of people find it more challenging to work with fractions, so we're going to just go ahead and go with the m divided by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and erase, and then we'll continue to move on. All right. So those have the same value, but we're going to go with this version and this recording method. So m divided by 3, I have to undo divide. The way I undo divide is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply by 3 on this side, which is 3/1. I'm also multiplying this side by 3. That way, I have 3/3, which is 1 whole. We know that that is the reason why those will cross out. And then I'm left with my variable all by itself on the left side. So then all I need to do is multiply 1468 times 3. Go ahead and do that. All right, if you did that multiplication, you should have found out that 1468 times 3 is $44.04. So the solution is that. And I always loop the solution to an equation. All right, get that written down. Let's go to number 9. All right, let's take a look at problem 8. This one we have to read very, very carefully. So this one says, Samuel is 6 inches taller than his brother Elijah. If Samuel is 48 inches tall, how tall is Elijah? Well, if Sam is 48 inches, okay, 48 inches, if Sam is that much, he is 6 inches taller than his brother Elijah. Okay, so he is 6 inches taller than Elijah's inches. So we'll choose letter I. I'll make that variable, actually I'll make it blue. So these are the inches for Elijah. So we're going to follow our same setup that we have done before. I'm going to loop constants. So I have 48 there. I have 6 there. And again, we know that the coefficient that goes with a single variable is just the number 1. So I'm not going to go ahead and box that in right now. So I need to undo this situation in order to get I all by itself, to isolate it. The way that we're going to do that is to undo the addition. So the way that I undo addition is to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 6 inches from this side. When I subtract from one side, I have to do the same thing on the other side. So 6 inches, take away 6 inches, leaves me with 0. 0 plus the letter I just leaves me with letter I. And now on this side, I have 48 inches, take away 6 inches, which means Elijah is 36 inches tall. Check to see if I did that correctly. All right, let's do a check of our work to see, is 6 plus 36 equal to 48? Yes or no? Uh-oh, we made a mistake in our calculations. This is how we can find errors in our work, by going back and substituting the answer or the solution that we get into our equation. So we made a calculation error here. So I'm going to go back and fix that. So it is not 36. So let's take a look again. 48 take away 6 is 42 inches. Let's check our work now and see if we did it correctly. 48 inches equals 6 inches plus 42 inches. Is 6 plus 42 48? It is. So that is how you can check your work and find out if you make a mistake, how you can identify where you made a boo-boo. All right, let's go take a look at number 9. I apologize, that was number 9. Let's go take a look at number 10. All right, our final problem that we have is dealing with Jeff, who is drinking some Gatorade after a race. So the problem says Jeff drank 15 ounces of Gatorade after running a race. There were 20 ounces left. How much Gatorade was originally in the container? All right, so we're talking about Gatorade. So I just chose G for my variable. So there is an amount of Gatorade. We don't know how much we're starting with. So that is letter G. And Jeff, he's drinking some Gatorade after the race, and we know that he drinks 15 ounces. So from a full bottle, he drinks 15. That tells us that it's getting less, or we are taking 15 ounces away from the original amount. And then it told us that there was 20 ounces left. All right. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to give you a moment. I want you to go ahead and do the steps, and then I'll come back and we'll see how you did. All right, let's see if we remember to follow our steps. The first thing we needed to do is to loop those constants. So here is an amount that does not have a variable with it, so that makes it a constant. Even though there's a label, it's still a constant. And here we also have another one, and we want to make sure that we keep those signs with them. Alrighty, remember that we need to get the variable all by itself. So here's our variable. What is happening to the variable is there is a subtraction of 15 ounces. So we have to do the opposite or undo that. And the way that we undo that is that we're going to add. So we're going to add 15 ounces to this side And remember, it's like a teeter-totter. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So I'm going to add 15 ounces to this side as well. That leaves me with G minus 15 plus 15. Those cancel each other out. That's a 0 pair. And so then we are left with 20 ounces plus 15 ounces is 35 ounces. Right? Again, I can check my work by substituting the 35 ounces in for my variable. So 35 take away 15 is 20. All right, make sure that you have all of these steps written down on your assignment or in your math notebook for full credit. You're going to need these for next week. All right. There are a few things in your Google Classroom that you need to get accomplished before you come see me right after break. I hope you have an amazing spring vacation. Bye-bye.